Let's talk about the spaces we live in. The sterile hallways, the generic offices, they're all designed to be efficient, clean, and simple. But what if that very cleanliness, that functional design, is silently draining us? Today, we're diving into a really interesting idea, that our modern world, our built environment, might just be the hidden source of a widespread, quiet apathy.
So, tell me if this sounds familiar. Have you ever felt that vague restlessness you just can't put your finger on? A kind of emotional numbness that isn't really sadness or depression? Well, what if the problem isn't something wrong inside your head, but it's actually all around you, in the very architecture of your daily life?
It usually starts out pretty subtle. It's just this low-grade unease, a quiet feeling that something is just off. It's not a big crisis, not a panic attack, just this nagging, persistent hum in the background.
And what's our first instinct when we feel that way? We reach for our phone, right? We scroll, we shop, we look for something to consume. It's this constant low-level urge to find something, anything, to fill that void and just feel engaged for a second. And what you're left with is this totally bizarre paradox of modern life. You feel completely empty and drained, but somehow, at the exact same time, you're completely overstimulated. I mean, how is that even possible?
Okay, so what is this feeling we're talking about? It's kind of hard to pin down, right? To really understand it, we first need to give it a name. Let's call it background anxiety.
Now, what's really important here is that this isn't the kind of anxiety you get before a big presentation. There's no clear story or reason for it. It's more like your nervous system is just stuck. It's in this low-level scanning mode, constantly on alert because it's in an environment it can't quite read. So your body is physically activated, but your conscious mind has absolutely no idea why.
And this idea really gets to the heart of the matter. Our bodies are incredible detectors. They pick up on what's happening in our environment long before our conscious minds can cook up a story to explain it. We might tell ourselves, oh, I'm just stressed about work, or I'm just having a bad day. But a lot of the time, that's just a narrative we're plastering on top of a much deeper, purely physical state.
And that brings us to maybe the single most important takeaway from all of this. If this feeling is a physical, biological reaction to your environment, then it is not your fault.
Just think about the internal scripts we run when we feel this way. We think, ugh, I'm so lazy, or I just lack discipline. Some of us even go so far as to think, there's something broken inside me. But what if the reality is completely external? What if it's not that you're lazy, but that your environment is painfully understimulating? Not that you lack discipline, but that your nervous system is literally starving for input.
When you look at it this way, your apathy isn't a malfunction at all. It's actually a perfectly rational adaptation. In a world that offers way too little sensory and emotional meaning, your nervous system does the only logical thing it can. It powers down to conserve energy. It's a survival feature, not a personal bug.
Okay, so if our environment is the problem, what exactly is it missing? This brings us right to the core idea we're exploring today, a kind of hidden hunger that our modern world is just failing to satisfy.
Think for a second about what our nervous systems are built for. We evolved over millennia in the organic complexity and constant variation of a forest, savanna, a place with layers of sensory input. Now compare that to what most modern environments give us. Uniformity, predictability, and emotional neutrality. This isn't just a small difference. It is a fundamental biological mismatch.
And this profound mismatch creates a condition we can call aesthetic hunger. And it is so critical to get this. This isn't about wanting pretty things or expensive art. This is a deep biological need, just like your need for nutrients from food. Your nervous system literally requires a certain amount of sensory richness and meaning just to stay balanced and regulated.
We hear all the time about how we're constantly overstimulated by our phones and our screens, but this idea completely flips that script. It suggests that our physical environments aren't overwhelming our senses at all. In fact, they're starving them. They're depriving us of the complex, textured, meaningful input that we are biologically designed to process. So how does this sensory starvation actually work? How do these clean, functional, and what seem to be neutral spaces quietly shape our minds and our moods?
Well, think about it. When an environment is perfectly uniform, the same lighting everywhere, the same textures, the same boxy layouts, it becomes completely predictable, and your brain, which is a masterpiece of efficiency, stops searching for anything new. It learns there's nothing new to interpret, so it just reduces its own activity. Over time, this literally trains you for compliance, not for creativity or exploration. You end up just adapting to the space instead of engaging with it.
And it goes even deeper than that. Our sense of who we are is profoundly tied to the places we inhabit. When our environments are totally generic and interchangeable, when an airport in Dubai looks exactly like one in Denver, we lose the external anchors for our own memories, for our own identity. We start to feel just as interchangeable as the spaces we're moving through.
And this is where we have to debunk a really common myth, especially in modern design. We assume that clean, empty, minimalist spaces are automatically calming. But for our ancient nervous system, emptiness isn't neutral. It's ambiguous. The body interprets a lack of information as uncertainty, and uncertainty signals a potential threat. So instead of relaxing, you stay in this quiet, unresolved state of alertness.
This really is the incredible power of our surroundings. They act as an invisible author of our moods. They're like a continuous emotional curriculum that's constantly teaching us how to feel, what to value, and even who to be. It's not a conscious process, but believe me, it is shaping our minds whether we notice it or not.
Okay, I know this can all sound a little bit bleak, but here's the really good news. You don't have to redesign your entire city to fight back. The solution can start small. It's all about building your own micro-sanctuary.
So what is a micro-sanctuary? It's a small pocket of resistance. It could be a corner of your room, your desk at work, or even just your favorite chair. The point isn't about interior design. It's a form of psychological survival. It's a space you intentionally design to give your nervous system the sensory nourishment it's been missing.
And creating one is incredibly practical. You can start right now. Introduce different textures: wood, wool, plants. Get a lamp that creates dynamic, warm light instead of relying on that single, harsh overhead light. Add objects that actually mean something to you, things with history, with personal significance. The whole goal is just to create a space that feels alive, inhabited, and perceptually rich.
So I'll leave you with this final question. I want you to actually take a look around you right now, wherever you are. Your environment is a silent teacher. It is shaping your mood and your mind in this very moment. So what is its lesson? And is it a lesson you want to keep learning?